you could feel what we feel now, you'd be a leader filled with mind, cause we're...
You can be a winner. That's right, you can win big on the Awakened Radio Network. Check out our homepage, awakenedradio.net, for the latest contests, the latest giveaways. Recently, we've awarded winners just for calling in, just for typing in the chat room, just for making a comment in our forum. All sorts of gifts, heirloom seeds, e-books, and many more prizes are on the way. Right now, you can make a huge difference with $1 by going to awakenedradio.net. There on the homepage, you'll see the graphic and the information about your donation of $1 can not only help the station, not only help open you up to Thrival Energy, but it places your name in a drawing to win a full 1-hour Thrival session with Donna Devane. This is a $100 value for $1. Come on, make a difference for $1. Win prizes. Join us in our live chat room. Call in on our live shows. Add comments to our forums. You can win. Every week there's a new winner, and a lot of times there's new winners every night. Join us for live talk radio on the best online talk radio station anywhere in the world, Awakened Radio Network at awakenedradio.net. Or if you can't make it to our website, listen on your mobile device. I'll love you.
Welcome. You are now tuned in to Your Unfolding Senses on Awakened Radio. I'm your host, Rob Ragozzine. This show is all about opening to and listening to your full intuitive capabilities. I offer tips and techniques such as meditation, dream work, and more for relaxing and connecting to your intuition. I'm on the air Thursday at 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern. This show is brought to you by intuitionbyrob.net, helping you to connect to your own inner wisdom. Please enjoy the show and invite your friends. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. It's 10 p.m. Eastern, August 2nd, 2013. I'm Rob Ragozzine, your host and explorer here. We're listening to Your Unfolding Senses, which is all about opening to your inner wisdom. And we're all intuitive. On this show, we talk about the tools and techniques for centering, connecting inward, and learning to truly listen to our inner voice, with the focus on helping you to find the methods that work for you. Feel free to call in and ask about or comment about the tools that work for you. You might ask about tarot, numerology, or tonight's topic, which is dreams. You can join us in the chat room by coming to awakenedradio.net. Click on the live chat tab, and you can ask questions right in there, and I can see them and respond to you. Or you can add Awaken Radio to Skype and call in that way, or call 334-649-7204. And we'll have a contest tonight, and we're also taking live calls for anyone that has a dream to explore. And I'm offering a free mini numerology reading for anyone that calls in with a dream or calls in to explore the secret historical person tonight. So what's this all about? It's about connecting to your intuition, of course, your inner life, and your heart. Essentially listening to your inner guidance, no matter your age, background, or ideology, making room in your life for your inner voice to shine through. And many of us haven't found a way to hear the messages that are already coming into our lives. For instance, you might be seeing recurring numbers, you might be having recurring dreams, experiencing coincidences, or have other patterns in your life that you're confused about but continue to dismiss. Thanks for tuning in to Awaken Radio. If you haven't heard them, there's other great shows that are on throughout the week here at Awakened Radio and on before me. And as you're listening now, you can use this opportunity to suspend any doubt or disbelief, at least for the next hour, as we connect inward, listen to our hearts, and begin to pay attention to it and its needs. Gradually, this space can become special for you and unfold into your outer life. With that in mind, I invite you to take part in a short meditation, and if you're driving or operating machinery, simply listen or listen at a later time. You can bring a question to mind that you've been wondering about. You might light a candle or incense, but find a comfortable spot and sit or lie down. And you might like to ask about a dream that you remember, and you might say, what is this dream trying to present me with, or how can the dream help me with an issue that I'm having, as you meditate and see what answer comes to you. And allow for a phrase or a sound or just a color, word, or symbol to come to you during the meditation. Whatever comes, be grateful for that. If it's a full message, that's great. But if it's just something as simple as a color, that's wonderful too. That can mean something. So finding a quiet space, sit comfortably and close your eyes. Begin to breathe slowly and gently, releasing any doubt or stress from the day, breathing gently into yourself and your heart, letting go of any doubts or worries. Continue your breathing and letting your mind quiet and your body rest. Feel yourself filling with peace and tranquility. Bring your focus to your heart. You might wonder what it's been asking for, and you may wish to bring your hands to your heart and allow the awareness of your heart to deepen as you breathe and settle into stillness. Feel all of your senses open, sharpen, grow, and deepen. And know that this is a special place where you can clearly hear your own inner voice. You can connect easily to your heart, however they may communicate to you. Be mindful of how this space feels. This can unfold into your outer life. You might use the time here to ask a question or notice any messages available to you within this space. For instance, your inner ears might hear a word or a phrase. Your inner eyes might see a picture, a color, or a shape. Your other senses might pick up a fragrance or a long-forgotten touch or flavor. You might notice other sensations as well. Simply pay attention to these and note them. If you don't understand what they might mean, ask for deeper clarity and allow whatever comes to come to you. If nothing does, that's okay. Don't force anything to happen. Rest in the stillness and inner peace. This could be the very thing your heart has been yearning for. Notice how your body feels in this time of stillness. Breathe into the parts of your body that feel light, tight, or stressed. Allow yourself to feel the comfort of this space. Be grateful for it. Know that you can come here anytime. And as we prepare to leave, have and feel gratitude for this connection and any messages you received. And slowly and gently bring your focus back to the room, coming back to your body. Now, I've chosen a historical person for tonight's challenge. If you can identify this person, that's great. The first person to call in and talk about it can win a free mini numerology reading off the air, of course, not on the air. So you have time and patience to hear more about yourself. And even if you know about this person already, I encourage you to see what you can intuitively determine about him just by sitting down and reflecting on his life and see what comes to you. Write it all down and see if anything new comes in, and then do a little bit of reading and see how accurate your perceptions are. It can be fun. It doesn't have to be challenging or difficult. And if you'd like to call in and talk about it, again, that number is 334-649-7204, or add Awaken Radio to Skype. And as usual, some hints for working with your intuition: always be comfortable and always be curious. You might ask, how do I feel about this person? What memories does this person trigger within me? And be willing to let go of your inner critical voice that's doubting or says, this is silly. Just work with whatever sensations or memories or feelings or imagery, whatever it is that comes up. Record it and look back on it and wonder how that connects to perhaps outer life events for you, or what that might represent for you. Just pay attention, and over time you might see that anytime that you feel good, you see the color green, for instance. I don't know, whatever connections you can make, try to begin to build up a little dream dictionary or a little personal symbolism dictionary. So maybe green, when you sense the color green, that might mean that you're feeling good, you're feeling safe, you're feeling comfortable. And that's one way to begin to work with your intuition. Now, last week we talked about slowing down. This week we're talking about dreams. And there's several different types of dreams. I always like to focus on the personal, because they can be layered, and there's always something that's personal and healing within the dream for ourselves, regardless of the type of dream that we're having. And I was reading Avalanche by Brew Joy, and he pointed out something very important for the collective, where he was meditating with a friend of his, and they both separately saw an earthquake in their meditations. And he said that he didn't feel too confident about the other person and his accuracy in his predictions, because he said there was going to be an earthquake, and this was probably in the 70s. And he said Michael suddenly announced that the big California earthquake was going to happen that day, and he described how it was going to be buildings and bridges, but Brew didn't feel that he was very accurate, but he still felt the same way, that something was going to happen. So he mentioned that he ordered insurance for some property that he felt nervous about, but then somehow later in the day he found himself in a board meeting, and he was bored with it, so bored at the board meeting, and he slipped out to go to see a movie, and he saw his friend in the crowd leaving the theater, but he didn't see him. They didn't see each other. And the movie that he was going to see was Superman, and he didn't know what the film was actually about, but there was a whole sequence where an earthquake happened because of a nuclear bomb released by the bad guys, and it was a big, massive earthquake with all the landmass movements and whatnot in the Golden Gate Bridge coming down that he saw in his meditation. And he recognized it as what he had seen in his meditation. And what he says about that is this. He says, the deep psyche reads only the patterns and not whether they are outer or inner events. Now, whether they are real or not, this film presents a most fascinating situation in that the eyes and ears experience a movie event as real. To all who are watching the film, the earthquake is happening. In my meditation, the deep psyche had been reading a future event that was transpiring only in the awareness of the film's audience and not actually taking place in outer reality. And any wonders about the monster films of the 50s and 60s, and then all the other crazy movies coming on after that. And he wonders what all that actually did to the consciousness of people like Nostradamus, for instance. And he finishes up by saying, it may therefore be that films which show awesome destruction and chaos somehow satisfy the dark side of the mystery. And he talks extensively about shadow aspects in his book, Avalanche, and I highly recommend it. But we're talking about dreams tonight, and really the focus here is what we're perceiving in our dreams. And a lot of people say, oh, I had a nightmare, and it really scared me, and now what do I do? And they're in a panic. And what I tell them to do is calm themselves, settle down. It doesn't necessarily mean that you had a precognitive dream and you've seen the future. It might be something like this, for instance, where you've seen not necessarily a movie, but maybe you've seen, for instance, a TV show, or maybe you've just tapped into someone else's thoughts, or maybe you've tapped into a book, or who knows what. Maybe it's part of your own healing process. And instead of being in fear of the dream, regardless of whether or not it's precognitive, it's time to learn to settle into yourself and become feeling better about yourself, regardless of the static, the noise, and the chaos in the outer world. And then you'll be better able to handle anything, including if this nightmare should actually come to pass. So what we're looking at are dreams, and of course there are several kinds. We want to look at every dream almost as a personal dream, which can be healing, they can be recurring, so they're bringing a message back up to us that's important steps that we need to take to begin to heal our lives. And a lot of research around illnesses like asthma, migraines, and such, that certain types of dreams are had by people before an attack, so they all have similar experiences in their dreams before they have an asthma or migraine attack, which is pretty neat. And basically our bodies are really able to communicate to us through dreams, and they can tell us that something's not quite right. So that's a personal dream, a healing dream. Again, we can have precognitive or prophetic dreams that seemingly are telling us the future. Not necessarily. It could be the case that we're tuned in to something, the collective consciousness, unconsciousness, and something like this film experience that I talked about. And can't really explain it, but it could be that. It could be that it is a precognitive dream. Then we have the social type of dreams where we sort of think that we're meeting up with other people, and maybe we are. So that could be a mutual astral travel kind of dream, maybe even lucid. So there's this heavy variety and mixture of these different types of dreams, but at the base of them, there's a message for us that something can be healed, something can be shifted, something can be changed within our lives. And really, why do we want to pay attention to our dreams? It's mainly learning more about yourself, your aspirations, really learning all about you, and it's about having the patience, the compassion, and the willingness to remember your dreams. And to do that, you need to take time to set an intention, to remember them and then recall them. And we'll talk about how we can begin to recall our dreams tonight. And by recalling them, you're then able to really connect and confront and express your feelings, because that's what's in a lot of our dreams, how we truly feel. And when we begin to address that, we can begin to shift things within our lives. So that remembering them can help you to come to terms with lots of different stressful aspects of your life. But it doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be depressing. It can be fun. And that's what I want you to connect with. So some helpful tools. Obviously, a pad and pen by the bed are always helpful. And you can buy an inexpensive pen with a light-up tip that you don't even have to turn on the bedroom light. You can just write down your dream when you wake up. And they're very inexpensive. And I have one. Tried it out. Experienced it. It's pretty neat. And that's one way to record your dreams. And if you have a smartphone, all of them have software that you don't need to turn on the bedroom light. You can use the Notepad app or the voice recorder app and just record them there. And I always recommend to have a stash of art paper, colored pens, crayons, ink markers, colored markers, or pencils, a journal, and then other tools like the tarot, so that you can explore the meaning of your dreams by doing artwork. We'll get to that a little bit later. So definitely have some sort of journal where you can record your dreams in, and that will help you to build up your own dictionary of meanings over time, and if you must have a book on dreams or several of them, keep them on the shelf, at least in the beginning, and start to write your own book. So when you see, for instance, an empty chair in a dream, it might mean that you're feeling lonely. That's just a big generalization, but perhaps that is an important one for you. And in the chat room, we have a tarot code that mentions that he loves to keep a tarot deck by his bed. And yes, the tarot is definitely helpful for exploring your dreams. And along with that is, if you want to have books, collect books on myth, books on fairy tales, all kinds of different stories that connect to a collective unconsciousness that you can explore while you're exploring your dreams. So perhaps you had a dream that related to the story of the Three Little Pigs or Little Red Riding Hood or whatever. These are important dreams, and they have deeply personal meanings for us, but they also point to the collective unconscious. In psychology, that really points to stuff that's deep within us that we almost don't know anything about consciously, but it's something that applies to everyone. That's the really short psychological definition. It applies to us all universally, so having a collection of these books can help us to more deeply explore our dreams, because we often have dreams with archetypal figures like mothers or fathers, or archetypal boss, or any number of things like the thief or the trickster. All of these characters constantly show up in our dreams, so then we can go to the stories and see how those tales played out, and then see if there's any kind of similarity to our dream. So as an exercise, when you remember a dream with clarity, you can ask, does this dream remind me of a particular card, myth, story, movie, or fairy tale? And then you can begin to connect to that one of those mediums by reenacting it per se, or maybe drawing your own tarot card or story and then exploring it. So say that you had a dream and it did remind you of the Three Little Pigs, for instance. So now you can draw your own picture of your dream with that in mind, and then connect to the picture and ask questions of it after you've drawn it. So you hang it up, you explore it, you ask, how does this picture make me feel? How does it make me feel to be connected to this story? And you can connect to deeper emotions that you might not even know are there. Perhaps you can connect to joy just because you like being attached to the energy and the vitality of the story about the protection that the pig with the brick house has, for instance. Or whatever the story is, it's connected to a lot of juice, a lot of vitality, a lot of energy. So you might want to explore the dream through the art, and once the art's there, now you have a way to journal about your deeper feelings that might have been hidden when you just had the dream and you said, oh, I had a Three Little Pigs dream, and left it at that. But when you begin to uncover the layers, you recognize the complexity, and then you can peel away the onion, as they say, and explore it on a deeper level by doing the artwork or acting it out or creating something and being creative and connecting with that energy. And as you do that, maybe another picture comes to mind that you can draw, or another project where you can actually create a statue of one of the little pigs. Then you might spend time talking to the statue and asking, what do you want from me in my life, for instance? And we'll talk more about this after the break. We have about 3 minutes to break, so I want to remind everyone again to call 334-649-7204 or add Awakened Radio to Skype. I am taking callers tonight. I'll explore a dream that you have, or if you'd like to talk about the intuitive challenge, which I posted to the chat room and will post again. It's about determining the identity of a historical figure, and even if you do know the identity of this person, it's about intuitively exploring some new things that you might not have known about him before. And you can talk about that on the air, and then off the air later on I'll give you a free mini numerology reading just for talking about it. You don't have to be right. Don't feel bad if you didn't even get anything at all. You might have gotten just one little hint. That's okay. It's really about learning to accept whatever is coming into your awareness. So maybe you got a word or a phrase or just a color, as I mentioned before. That's great. Write it down, record it, and just notice it. Notice whatever is coming in to your awareness. So again, feel free to call in and talk about that or a dream, and I'll gladly talk to you about that. So I'd also like to remind you that any kind of tools that can help you, such as your pad, pen, and recorder, can definitely help you to recognize the patterns that are moving through your dreams, are moving through your life. So, for instance, if you're noticing recurring numbers, to write down how you're feeling before you saw the numbers and after the numbers, or maybe you see a particular bird every day. Again, it's more than a coincidence. It's similar to a dream message. So begin to pay attention to these experiences and record your thoughts and feelings as you go through the experience. And it can help you to connect in with the deeper meaning of these images. And really, the message is only going to get louder until you find a way to explore for yourself what the message actually is. And we'll talk more about this after the break when I get back. Thanks for tuning in. I'll talk with you when we come back. Hi, this is Rob Ragozzine, one of the hosts and technical gurus at AwakenedRadio.net. AwakenedRadio.net is expanding and has plans to grow even bigger. We'd like to bring many exciting features to our network, including video sharing, community forums, multiple show streaming, and more. In order to provide these new features, though, we need some new equipment. Right now, our station manager, Donna Devane, single-handedly manages the station with an aging computer. But we'd like to build a computer with more oomph. Not to bore you with the details, but to handle our vision, we'll need to support heavy video use, high bandwidth, storage, and loads of media. These can come with a high price tag, though. And we'd love for you to be able to continue to join us as we grow our awakenradio.net network community. However, we aren't supported by corporate advertising. We're largely supported by our hosts and listeners like you. If you're able, we'd like to ask for a small donation, but we're not asking for your grocery money, just what you can find in your heart to help support us. So come to awakenradio.net and click on the donate button. Even if it's $1, you're helping us to grow stronger. Thank you. Welcome. You are now tuned in to Your Unfolding Senses on Awakened Radio. I'm your host, Rob Ragozzine. This show is all about opening to and listening to your full intuitive capabilities. I offer tips and techniques such as meditation, dream work, and more for relaxing and connecting to your intuition. I'm on the air Thursday at 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern. This show is brought to you by intuitionbyrob.net, helping you to connect to your own inner wisdom. Please enjoy the show and invite your friends. And we're back. And what I want you to keep in mind, especially with your dreams and obviously the recurring events, is that you want to identify the symbols that are coming up and coming out into your life. And you want to find a way to cement, I guess is the best word for this, the meaning that the symbol has for you in your life. So if you're seeing the 3 little pigs, you might like to bring, especially if you're maybe into pins, you can bring a little pin with a little pig on it and wear it in your life. And perhaps it's all about the symbolism that the pig represents for you, and that might be curiosity, that might be a willingness to dig deep into the muck and explore your life, and you want to bring the power of that symbol into your life, and that's really helping you to set a deeper intention for yourself for the power of the dream. Now, the first rule of dream work is to be curious. Why this dream? And of course, if you have a tarot card that reminds you of the dream, that can be very helpful to explore. And I'll talk about one of my dreams, and that might help you to understand how you can work with them for yourself on a little bit better basis. But you can also work with books or movies or fairy tales or other stories that remind you of the dream. And remember, you could have had a dream about eating dinner, but you'd had another dream and you were late for school, or you showed up for a test that you never studied for, and whatever. That they're all important, they all have meaning. Now, to really explore dreams, you have to find and believe that what you find is going to be useful for you. That's the first part of the dream work. If you're not believing that anything that you find won't be useful for you, then why work with dreams at all? You won't be motivated, and you won't remember anything about your dreams in the first place because you don't think there's any value to working with them. So the first part of dream work is to remember, is to have value for the results. And at first, it might take a little while to get any results, but that's okay. So as an exercise, if you've never done any dream work at all, when you wake up, let go of the need to remember the dream and have your pad close by, close at hand, and just start to write things at random. Whatever comes into your mind, write it down. So you might start writing out random words and see where that takes you. You might write, for instance, pig, coffee, chilies, and start writing all kinds of random words. And then you might end up writing about, gotta get to the dentist today, make sure I make that appointment, or draw a picture of an island, or whatever it is. Just keep all that in a little random notebook and see when you finally do remember the dream, if any of that actually connects to the dream. This is really connecting to the transitional time when we're still, half groggy, half asleep, and just waking up. So we're trying to connect into the essence of that. And the dreams speak to us in symbols and metaphors, and that time provides a transitory time where we can connect more into that energy. So anything is possible in this space, really. So really pay attention to what you might collect in this, I like to call, soupy or foggy state. And just notice what's floating around in there, and maybe you'll, over time, as you do this over time, you'll see a pattern. And it can really just help you to notice what's there, what's right in your conscious awareness at that particular time. That can be very helpful. And again, remember, this is part of the overall dream process, and we're doing things that can help us to better remember our dreams. So this could be part of your process, and can be part of a process to give you experience and get better over time. Without practice, you're not going to get better. So just trust that over time you will get better. And if you've read Malcolm Gladwell's book Outliers, he says we need 10,000 hours to become an expert at anything. And maybe it's not 10,000 hours that you'll be good at dream analysis, but at least you have a target goal. So spending time working on your dreams can give you the ability to feel better about yourself, and it can allow you to really connect inward and allow you to learn more about what's going on inside, and to look at some of the things that we might not like to know about ourselves, but still it can be very healing and shifting, which is the shadow work that Joy was talking about, as I was talking about earlier. It's all that icky stuff that we want to keep down and don't want to know, but it can be very helpful for ourselves to heal that, and very helpful for our families, and ultimately very helpful for the whole collective, as we're helping to heal all of the gunk that we're feeling right now. And we can go and use the tarot. So the tarot is also another tool that can really help us to open up dialogue with ourselves, and a way to connect with this material that we are often afraid to look at. That's why we call them the dreams nightmares, because we're afraid to look at them, but they still have an aspect that can be very healing and very clearing. So once we begin to let go of the connection to this dream is bad, that dream is good, and just look at them all as having a message for us, we can begin to get down to the work of shifting and healing our lives. Now, my recent dream was I was in a large building or a house, and we were all wandering around. I guess they were all sort of business people. They all had like business suits on. And finally, we get to the balcony, and someone has a rope, and it's attached to something, and someone slides down to the street to go get help. It's raining out, and then we leave the building, and that's the dream. And of course, I'm looking at this first from a personal level, and it can also be looked at from the communal level, which applies to others in your community and perhaps the world in general. But first, the personal for me, what it means, and always recognize that, of course, there are cultural differences within our dreams. So a dream on an island will have different meanings for different cultures. And of course, if someone else had this dream, it would have a different meaning for him or her. So to have compassion for that, even if you think you know what the dream means for someone, you don't have to force the meaning onto someone. You might say, if that were my dream, I would explore it like this. And that way you give the person the option of exploring it in a way that might help them to come to a new revelation about themselves. So again, the first question you might like to ask is, well, why this dream? And for me, it relates a lot to my natural curiosity, and I always want to know more, and always wondering, well, what's next? And that kind of, but the flip side of that is it takes me out of the right here, the right now, and that's where meditation helps me, at least. It's to center, to ground, to be in the present, to recognize that all we have really is right now. And I was talking with a friend, and she has a lot of ideas for a new business website, but she's always caught up in family drama, and her husband and her father are both sick, as well as issues with the kids. So it's hard to make time to be together to even begin to think about working on this issue. And anyway, in my opinion, there's tons of apps and websites that already do this process anyway. So I'm thinking that I know I can do it, but I know that it's already been done. So there's the toss-up right there, but it's also about being there and being present for her, regardless of what I do or don't do. And that's really the best thing that I can do from the family. It's about simply dropping in and being me, and that's what kind of the rope represents, is going down, going in, connecting inward, and really recognizing and letting go. Again, it was raining, so the letting go, the clearing, letting go of the need to even do anything at all, if I could do anything. And that's what the dream really is connecting to me, this message, and simply about being present. And I'm getting other dreams with a similar message, just be present. You don't have to do anything at all, really. Just show up and be you. And a lot of people who have precognitive recognitions, like that something has happened to someone, or that perhaps someone is going to be ill or pass away, I really recommend finding a way to be present with that person that you have the precognitive recognition about, because isn't that what life is about anyway? Simply being present with that person, and instead of backing away and being afraid of this feeling within yourself, find a way to step around it, step past it, and step into a deeper relationship with this person and be here with them now. And that's really ultimately what life is about anyway. It's being here, being now, being present. Now, if you want to explore the dream deeper, you could begin to ask questions like, well, who are these people? And again, there are aspects of me. Everything in the dream is an aspect of you. And they're sort of businessy people, so they're parts of me that are percolating thoughts about doing this, doing that, connecting one project thought to another, trying to balance it all out, trying to see, well, if I do this, what happens then? And it's really, they've been kind of wandering around aimlessly, so there's no conclusion there. It's about really, again, finding a way to connect downward, inward, and center, and let go of the busyness, stop being busy, and letting go of what a relationship has to look like in the first place. We can't necessarily go out for a beer every week. So even if I have a solution for my friend, it might not be able to be of any use because I'll be doing all the work anyway, and how is that helping? And it's not even my dream, my goal. So to let go of that, to center, to relax, to go within, seek the peace, and find a way to just be present with myself. So that question right there, why the rain and who are these people, can definitely help me to look within and to really explore the dream even deeper. Another way to remember your dream could be to give the dream a title. So something that has juice, something that has power. A while ago I had a dream about a beaver that had a magic container that can transform an issue that you brought to it to something that was solved, to something that you can let go. So it was sort of a magic little container that would change your issue into something that you didn't need to worry about. So since it was a beaver, I connected it to the old Leave It to Beaver television show and called it Leave It to Beaver. And to me, that has humor, and it helps me to really remember that dream more powerfully, more visually, and I laugh about it as I think about that one little line. And the father in the TV show always seemed to have the right answer, and I always, even as a kid, I thought he was kind of strange how he'd always sit there, smoke his pipe, and have the right answer. But still, that has humor for me and connects me to the fun of the show. You might also give it a name that connects you to what is happening in the dream, so it doesn't have to be humorous. Like that title, I could call it The House, for instance. Not really a house, but it sort of represents a structure, a holding pattern, somewhere between waiting, hoping, not here, not now, sort of lost. So maybe shell of a house, I'm not sure, something like that. Carl Jung says, the dream is a little hidden door in the innermost and most secret recesses of the soul. Now, I was talking about earlier acting out the dream with your friends, so you could get together with a group of friends who are not going to make fun of you, who are compassionate, and act out this dream. So you could sit back and watch. They would all get dressed up in suits, for instance, and then just walk around aimlessly and bump into each other, maybe, or whatever they felt like doing in the moment. And then someone can find a rope and drop it down and escape or leave. So you can see what you might get from seeing the dream portrayed right in front of you. What happens then? You might have a deeper recollection of the dream. Something might be felt in your heart about. You might have an aha connection. All of a sudden you recognize it. It's attached to a memory. A lot of things can be stirred up when you see the dream portrayed right in front of you. So you might try that and see where that leads to. Of course, you'll have to have remembered a dream with greater clarity, but that can help you to work your dreams on a deeper level. But maybe you don't identify with what was in the dream, so you can, as an exercise, you can connect with anything that you remember, whether it's a fleeting feeling, colors, or imagery. Again, don't dismiss it. For me, in this dream, it's important to realize that none of the people really stood out. It's, again, kind of like the sameness, not really thinking, but just busy. So, what do you recall? What memories, what feelings, what events? And for me, connecting with my friend, asking for help, but then being busy, being unavailable, of course, it's a lot of family issues, family drama that are in the way. But anyway, so part of it is not my issue, it's letting go of that and centering within myself. The next step is understanding that, of course, as I've mentioned before, the dreams aren't speaking your language. Sometimes they can be incredibly simple, and those really are as good as gold, but many of them, like this dream, can be confusing, at least at first. Last year I had a really, really, really simple dream that I've talked about on the show before, which was a stove dream. In my stove was a box of frozen food, and it was smoking. It wasn't on fire, it was just smoking, and that was the dream. And that really inspired me to look at A, the quality of my food, and B, where I was getting it from, and to be curious about it and to really develop a deeper connection to it. And now I'm supporting programs that support local organic farmers, and one of them even delivers food right to my door, which is pretty cool. So instead of this frozen box that doesn't even have the vitality to be burning in the dream, it's just barely smoking, I'm eating food that's fresh and vital and grown right here in my local area. So again, be curious, be willing to be vulnerable with yourself, and to look at what changes you might be able to make. And sometimes the dream is really clear, like in that stove dream. So to say, okay, that's not a healthy choice, and be honest and look to what's next. What can I do that I could better support myself? And when you're connecting to what you're feeling in the dream, you look at what it might be related to, accept it, and have compassion for yourself. And I always like to refer to Sharon Salzberg when I'm talking about this. She says, sometimes we think that to develop an open heart, to be truly loving and compassionate, means that we need to be passive, to allow others to abuse us, to smile and let anyone do what they want with us. Yet this is not what is meant by compassion. Quite the contrary. Compassion is not at all weak. It is the strength that arises out of seeing the true nature of suffering in the world. Compassion allows us to bear witness to that suffering, whether it is in ourselves or others, without fear. It allows us to name injustice without hesitation and to act strongly with all the skill at our disposal. To develop this mind state of compassion is to learn to live, as the Buddha put it, with sympathy for all living beings without exception. So start with yourself, of course, and then spread it out to the rest of the world, with your family, with your community, with the rest of the world. Having sympathy for yourself within the dream work is being willing to explore the dream and the symbols within it, being curious, wondering what they mean, and then applying whatever it is that they're calling out to have applied within your life. And as we're talking about dream symbols, you might ask, what is a symbol? And of course, it's usually defined as something that stands for something else. But it's deeper than that. It's something that has value for you. And I'm thinking of the house dream and the aimless path in the house might be thought of as traveling in circles, a rut almost, with no immediate solution. But then the rope is dropping down into myself, and that clicks for me. That has juice, that has vitality, that has meaning. It might not have the same vitality for you, so you might have to explore the dream and find where that vitality, where that juice is for you. It's almost like putting together the last piece in a puzzle. It clicks in, and you're happy that you finished the puzzle. That's the same with the dream work. You'll know when you're done. You'll know when you have the meaning for you. The rope is a symbol. It's not just a rope. It's a connection between me and my heart, and a question, am I willing to drop down within myself and step out of the busyness? And I do know that I am. I just have to notice when I'm getting caught up in trying to do something when it's not up to me. And I can be there and lend a hand if needed, if and when the time comes, and I can offer my experience and knowledge, but that's a little bit a way off. Now we only have about 4 minutes left, so I want to talk about my links. You can go to intuitionbyrob.net and click on the media tab, and you can navigate from there to my forum page here, read about past shows, also make comments and ask questions. You can also link to my show page, the Awaken Radio store, get some good stuff from there, reading stones and more, and my Facebook and Twitter accounts are right there on the media page. You can also join us and be a sponsor, and your 30-second sponsor will be played 3 times during the broadcast, at the introduction, halfway, at the break, and at the end. And then when the shows are archived, it will still be in there, so it'll be rebroadcast forever in iTunes. So if you're looking to become a sponsor of my show or any of the others here at Awaken Radio, please feel free to come here and click on the sponsor tab at the top of the screen. And we're really listener and host supported here, so please feel free to do that. And if you're so inclined, and if you've enjoyed our shows, donations are always greatly appreciated. We're here for no cost to you, so please find it in your heart to click the donate button at the top of all the screens here at Awaken Radio. Again, we're basically listener and host supported, so we're not here making any money. It's all about running the station, building the community that's important for you and for us. Thrive Magazine, this month's issue is being condensed with next month's issue, so you have, I believe, a deadline of August 10th for articles, art, and poetry, and anything that you can contribute will be put into that magazine, and we'll share it, and you'll be part of the Awaken Radio Network community, and we're greatly appreciative of anything that you can contribute. So that might be a way for you to spread your poetry or an article that you've written around. Let us know what you have. And thank you for joining me tonight. If you have any questions about tonight's show, then please feel free to contact me via email, Twitter, Facebook, or the forum. Please join me again next Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern. Tonight's show was a special one because of technical issues, but next week I'll be on Thursday at 10 p.m. And this week I also have a new show, Simply Conversations, starting on Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. And join us for a conversation with Rebecca Burton. Thank you for listening in tonight.
We're all eyes open, showing our inside and light so bright. We are awakened, coming.